lot of people having guilty consciences about Airbnbs.
I do.
You don't? No, you do?
I do.
You do?
Now
yeah.
I'm going next weekend.
Yeah. Judy says she's an Airbnb user, and she says she felt awful when it hit me what we're doing to the residents of villages and beautiful places as well.
Well, it's fine if you go and treat the place with respect. That's fine, isn't it? But you can imagine all the groups that go and just...
But it's still not getting anybody, you know, she was talking there about nurses and whatever.
Midwives, yeah.
Midwives trying to get accommodation, long-term rental or whatever, in certain areas. It just doesn't happen. But, I mean, it is scandalous. I mean, basically, our last guest was telling us there's a deficit of 4.5 million social houses in this country, a deficit. 4.5 million. That's not going to be fixed overnight, is it?
No, it's not going to be fixed with it all going to Airbnb, is it?
The rack problem, this is the aerated concrete. Mark says, where's the money coming from to solve this? How about starting by going back to the companies that built the buildings with it? Most of those will be large corporations, make them pay first of all, and then make their shareholders who have profited cough up the money. But the thing is, the concrete came with a warning that it would last 20, 30 years. Yeah. So why is it their fault? It's governments who didn't replace it. Then take the rest of the money from the foreign aid budget. Then, if there isn't enough, take it from MPs' expenses and wages.
I mean, we knew this was going to last 20 to 30 years. There's so many questions. We're on 50, 60 years now. How did it get to this point?
I did it.
Roy makes a very interesting point. He says the first to notice crumbling concrete would be the head teachers. Did they make enough noise about this? Did they tell their borough councils? Did they tell their councils, Lib Dem, Labour and Tory? Have they made the Education Department aware? And then what did the education ministers do? Everyone wants to blame everyone else, but it does start with the school itself. But to be fair to you, Roy, and I've been on picket lines with teachers a lot in the past year, they have been making a lot of noise about the state of our schools, especially the state of our school buildings. It's one of the reasons why they were out on strike in the past year or so. So perhaps they would say they have been making these noises for a very, very long time and they've been ignored.
On this subject, we've got Chris Akabusi, we've got Dawn Neeson. They've got how the papers are reflecting stories such as this. And Dawn, we go to The Sun, and they have outraged that the Education Secretary, who we are interviewing in the next hour or so, she's been spending money, but not on aerated concrete. What's she been doing?
Excellent. You should ask her this question then. This is page 13 of The Sun today. School ministers 34 million on her own headquarters. Education Secretary Gillian Keegan, she's blown 34 million of our money, remember, taxpayers' money, revamping the offices that she works in. This involves stripping out the 1990s interior over 4 floors of her department's Westminster HQ. And it's going to focus on sensory, physical or developmental, can't talk straight this morning, needs, special needs basically. It's going to be sort of like a mindful office. But it is actually, on the face of it, it's a lot of money being spent on a government building, basically, paid for by us. On the face of it, you think it is outrageous when we can't afford to repair our schools. But on the other hand, it's like this is a government building that needs repairing. And we're repairing it. Now, we're talking about...
Does it need repairing?
Well, I mean, according to the Home Offices, it does. But that's the big debate, isn't it? So, on one hand, we're saying, right, we haven't got money to repair our schools, quite rightly so, and they're spending money on this. But on the other hand, this building does need repairing, we're spending money on repairing it. So there's two sides to this argument that you can see.
Doesn't look good, though, does it? I mean,
it doesn't look. It's not reading the room. It's not reading the crumbling room, is it? It's really not. But they're saying the project was initiated in 2019 and will significantly reduce the annual maintenance costs of the building, which needs repair.
But that could do up a couple of schools, couldn't it? 34 million.
It could certainly do up a lot of schools. But going back to
more important, it could save lives.
Well, exactly. I honestly, I still can't get. Ask her, why has this taken till now?
Yeah, we'll ask her about that.
No one's answered the question. Why has it taken till now? Like 2 days before the kids go back to school.
Yeah.
Keir Starmer, is he answering questions, Chris? Front page The Mirror, and he's talking about what is his promise to workers, which is, we're reporting on this, no income tax rises.
So again, as I said in the last review, this is a very clear election footing. The ministers are back to work today, and Keir Starmer's given an interview to the Mirror, and he's no basic rate of income tax. Also, bearing in mind that there's no wealth tax. So the question that we need to ask around all of this hype and rhetoric is, how are you going to fund all of the things that need to be done over your period of government, assuming you get in within the next year? So it's clear he's trying to win the middle ground. He's trying to alleviate any idea that traditional Labour, which is a tax and spend from our own past, we're not going to be anything like that. We're going to be more akin, I suspect, to Blairism than traditional Labour. He's saying in the interview that we've had 13 years of Tory austerity kicking off with the global financial crisis in 2008, and we are left with absolutely no money in the coffers. It was interesting to see that he echoes Kwasi Kwarteng and Liz Truss in the idea that we're going to find money and raise money, and what's the word I'm looking for? Build the economy. That we're struggling, we're going to strive and build the economy. But again, in the piece.
How?
Thank you very much.
How? The devil's in the detail. There is no detail. That's
it. So all the rhetoric, no detail, and at some stage, as said by Jason Beattie, head of politics in the Mirror, at some point we'll have to explain how you rebuild Britain when the coffers are empty. We've had COVID spend, we have GFC spend, we've got Ukrainian spend, we've given lots of money away over the last 13 years. How are you going to ensure we get it back to do all the things that you want to do in your term of office?
Well, it's easy. Anybody can cut money. Hardly anybody can generate money. But if you look at things that would, like fracking, like oil drilling or whatever, they seem to be morally done off the table.
But exactly that. And it's like, you know, there's another story I think Chris wants to discuss as well in the Financial Times about, you know, how closely China and Russia are working together. And if you're talking about energy and ways we can generate money in this country rather than relying on buying stuff in, you know, the amount of stuff we buy in from China and Russia, including sort of like energy supplies, is absolutely terrifying. And it's like we don't seem to be... You know, once upon a time, Eamonn, we were a country that made things. What do we actually make in this country anymore?
The service industry, aren't we?
Nothing. I can't think of anything.
We make Chinese cars and Indian cars and French cars and whatever.
Yeah.
But let's develop what Dawn talked about here. We go to the Financial Times for this one, Chris. And Dawn referenced there how closely China and Russia were working together. And these are the banks involved.
Absolutely. And, you know, again, I think this also shows the demise in Western global
influences,
influence and authority. So, whatever side of the fence you are, Russia invade Ukraine, and then the West give this edict: no work with Russia.
Right, so they're hit with sanctions.
Absolutely, smashed them with sanctions.
So the idea is they go broke.
Thank you very much. But what did they do? Now, Russia and Chinese have got two different types of communism, but they go across the border and say, do you fancy working with us? Russia and China go, sure. And so 4 banks have quadrupled their work with Russia. Russia have got no effect of our side not to work with them. And all of a sudden, Russia no longer have reserves in dollars or euros. All the reserves are set up in, and I didn't know this language, renminbi. I'm assuming that's the Chinese currency. So all of a sudden, all their reserves are in there, and it's business as normal. And we're stuck outside here. We've got energy crisis. We've got cost of living crisis. We've got grain and food crisis. And Russia is working along with China hunky-dory. So we've basically slapped ourselves in the face, haven't we? We've basically, whether we like it or not, our leaders have given this edict. We are suffering. With all the stories we've had today about smelly kids, etc., we are suffering as a result of the dictates from our masters above. and Russia, China, happily market. Remember, Mr. Trump went, China.
China. Yeah.
He had it right, didn't he? He knew that the influence of China across the world
would China flu.
Yeah, exactly. Everything came from China. China. And he knew that influence of that massive area was going to impact us all.
You know, you were talking about influence and people have an influence on us. If I don't start finding things to laugh at soon, I really am going.
I know.
We have to. I mean, even today, laughing at smelly kids, I'm sorry, but we just have to laugh.
Yeah.
We have to find something.
There is nothing to laugh at. And the whole idea is that we're made to feel miserable and angry every day, and it brings out the worst in all of us.
One of my favourite books is by Voltaire called Candide, and he travels around the world, the best of all possible worlds, and he ends up coming back after experiencing all of this devastation and pestilence, and he says, you have to tend your garden. And that was a way of saying, you know what, with all the macro stuff that's going on, what really matters in life is you, your family, and your garden. The intimate things around you. That's where you find your joy. That's where you find your happiness. Tend your garden.
Tend your garden. I tell you what
I haven't got a garden. What do I do?
No,
see, I find now, even you can't even watch traditional television because nobody knows what time anything's on at, and you know, no one. You know what I mean, Dawn? No one sits down and says Dallas is on at 8 o'clock or whatever it is, and sit and watch it. You know, it doesn't work like that.
That's my problem with the English Premier League football.
Yeah.
I used to love.
Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday nights the Premier League.
Saturday, Wednesday, you knew you bought your ticket, you're going to go and watch it, right? Yeah. Boom. Lot of unbridled joy. Yeah. But now, like you said, it's all over the place.
Money. But listen, there's an interesting programme I want to tell you about. They're all depressing, all of them. But on Netflix, there's a programme called Painkillers. Painkiller, right? Have you started watching it?
No, not yet.
Right. Well, it's very, very interesting. It's about a drug. I don't know. It's an opioid. I'm not going to name any drug in case I get it wrong, but it's an opioid, and it wasn't selling very well. And it's like a lot of the fast food we eat is made to hit your sweet spot, right? So it appeals to you, that it makes you want more of them. It isn't very good for you, but you go yum yum, that's fantastic. So they made this opioid tablet that will not cure your pain, but take your pain away, make you feel relatively happy, but keep you sick enough that you'll need more tablets.
Right, okay.
That makes
Absolutely fascinating how big business works, and advertising is the key. Advertising can lie at anything, and we were talking about this last week. The thing is, burgers always amaze me. When you go to queue up, or you go through a drive-in or whatever, the burger place, and you see this fantastic, savoury, spongy thing that you want to go. I couldn't even get my mouth round that. It's so big and spongy. And it comes out, and it's that.
Wafer thin.
It's wafer thin. There's no problem with it. So it's lies. Advertising is lie after lie after lie. And there is what's called the Advertising Standards Authority and whatever it is, but they still don't stop the lies. Painkiller.
I'm going to have to, make a point of watching that one.
The trouble is,
doesn't exactly sound like it's cheer me up, though.
Yeah.
When you
I was very interested in it. I mean, the journalist in me was very interested in it, but then I'm thinking, this is depressing me.
We need some comedy suggestions from you.
We need some... Well, tell you who makes me laugh, honestly. There are a number of people that make me laugh. Peter Kay, top of the lot. Peter Kay.
Top bombing.
What do you call that lad from East End of London? With the long hair.
Huh? Oh, Russell Brand.
No. Long hair. I did not know this.
Russell Brand, but
No. He looks like Russell Brand, but he's not.
Russell Kane.
I think he's a West Ham supporter or whatever.
I know who you mean,
for goodness sake, Eamonn. Nobody's any help to him here anywhere.
Russell Brand's a West Ham supporter.
Mickey Flanagan. Mickey Flanagan.
That was it,
Mickey Flanagan. Funny man.
I like Ricky Gervais, I'm sorry.
I love Ricky Gervais. I think he's sarcastically fantastic.
I love Norman Wisdom.
Yeah.
Is he still around?
Mr. Gripstein. And
Exactly.
he wears a little Rishi Sunak suit.
Yeah.
Too small for him. Mr.
No one
Grim
was,
Style. Mr. Grim Style.
Frank Spencer, Betty. Oh, that's what they were the days.
Bit of trouble.
Done a whoopsie in my belly.
Should we explain for younger
Oh, yeah.
viewers what the hell both of you are talking about?
2 waddies. There we go. Let's get them cracking.
McIntyre's good. I like Michael
I was going to say
McIntyre.
Michael McIntyre's my choice.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's good.
I think he's funny as well. You need a bit of
And
joy.
the Irish comedian, Joanne McNally, just to throw a woman in the mix.
I was going to say,
She's
yeah,
Irish,
we need
she's
some
quite
women.
nuanced.
Don't know her.
You'd like her.
Right.
She's very good. From
Okay.
Dublin.
Okay.
No, I don't
Yeah,
want
she's
Good.
funny. Very, very good.
Right, let's talk about inventions.
Yeah, this might make
Chris, so
you
this is
smile.
in The Guardian, and this is people who have patented ideas that they think are going to work in case the rest of us steal them. What are these ideas?
Yeah, I mean, initially when I got given the story, I wasn't quite sure about it, but actually, so it is a very good story. And one of the questions that came out of it for me is, the Guardian analysts found that Winchester had the highest per capita of inventions in 2022. And I wondered, why Winchester?
Very creative, Winchester. Very creative.
Right,
part of the
yeah.
world.
So and again, well, it's got also got a big university there.
Yeah.
No, not
It's a
Oxbridge.
cathedral.
Yeah, it's got a big cathedral.
Is there a song? Winchester Cathedral.
Na, 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 na.
Oh my God, now they're singing, Ellie. What have we done to deserve this
It's gone
morning?
mad. They've gone mad.
Is that right? Is there a
don't
song?
know.
Or I just
Well,
make that up?
Yeah. Oh, no, that's an age thing. That's back in the day.
Yeah, maybe it was Chichester, Cathedral, not Winchester. Maybe it
No,
was.
definitely Winchester's cathedral.
Okay.
But the invention includes, for example, a smart section in the pathway which alerts you to when dogs.
Poo.
Yeah, and but also then the path itself cleans it up because lots of people themselves don't
Well,
do
that's
it.
quite clever.
No, it's not clever. No, that takes
Yeah.
No, I know,
responsibility away from
well,
owners.
You
But
are
people
right.
aren't doing it, are they? People
Yeah,
don't pick up
but in
their
the end,
dog
do you want us walking dog muckers?
But then, what's to stop humans pooing on the pavement and clearing up?
Funnily enough, I saw something yesterday where a human being was caught defecating in a
Where are we going?
phone booth.
Yeah.
In a phone booth. And
no.
something that was awful. It was awful. Anyway, but one that I really liked, the invention I really liked, was the
Watching all us, we'd love to listen to you. The director's telling me we've got to go to the weather instead. But hold
As
that
much as we
thought.
wanted to hear about KTM phone boxes, yes. Here's the latest forecast of Jonathan Gauntry.